A very good evening to all of you. I, Mehul Soni, on behalf of Extramural Lectures team of IIT Madras, welcome you all to today's lecture. We have with us today one of the most talented Indian film directors and screenwriter, known for his works exclusively in Telugu cinema and also for directing blockbuster films Magadhira, Iga and Bahubali, none other than S.S. Rajamouli. Mr. S.S. Rajamouli is one of the most successful film directors in Tollywood. He is the son of popular Tollywood story writer Vijayendra Prasad. He holds an engineering degree from CRR College of Engineering, Eluru. Mr. Rajamouli started directing Telugu soap operas on Eenadu television under the guidance of K. Raghavendra Rao. His first shot at Telugu films was Student Number 1, with Junior NTR, which was a big hit in 2001. After 2 years, he delivered a blockbuster with his second movie, Simhadri. His notable films include the sports drama film Sai, The Social Problem, and Vikramarkudu, which was screened at the International Film Festival of India. I now call upon the Honorable Dean, Professor M.S. Shivakumar, to welcome the chief guest with a fruit basket. I now request the speaker, Rajamouli sir, to address the gathering and student heads to carry forward the question answer session.
Many a time I am asked, why do I make films? I make films for this. Thank you. Guys, please stop it. You are making me emotional. I don't know whether I'm in a IIT campus or in a film theater in... Okay, let me talk something about my experience with IIT Chennai, IIT Madras. Let me talk something about it. I'll go a little bit back. In my childhood, I was a good student sometimes and a bad student sometimes. I was doing very well with my academics whenever my teachers were good to me, whenever they patted me on my back, whenever they ruffled my hair and talked nicely to me. I did very well with my academics, and whenever I had a very strict teacher, I did very bad in my academics. So I was doing well sometimes, I was not doing so well sometimes. When I did well, my elders, not my parents, but my elders thought, okay, this guy is doing very well, and they made me skip my classes. From 4th to I went to 7th, from 7th to I went to matriculation, jumping up classes. I passed off matriculation with distinction. I had very good marks, but sadly, because of jumping of these classes, my foundation was not strong. And when I went to intermediate, now I guess it is called +1. When I went to intermediate, suddenly I started seeing this big books of physics, chemistry, mathematics, and fear crept into my heart, and at that time there were no lecturers to ruffle my hair and pat my back. So I started losing interest in academics, and I failed in my favorite subjects of maths and physics. Then I didn't know what I had to do. So I studied my first intermediate in Eluru, CRR College, and so then I came here, and financially was also we were not doing so well. So I thought I'll take off 1 year. I'll think about my studies later. And I didn't know what to do, because in my heart I knew I was doing very badly in academics, and there is no hope for me to go beyond that. But somehow one of my family friend pushed me into second intermediate after a gap of 2 years. I did okay, but I knew I am lagging behind. So I came back to Chennai again to do something with films, because most of my family was in films. I didn't know what to do at that time. I was just roaming around, lazing around without much of an idea what I'm supposed to do with my life. That was the first time. My cousin MM Srilaka is a music director. She was a child prodigy at that time, and there was a music show in Mardi Gras in IIT Chennai at that time, and she performed there. She was a child, and I came here accompanying. That was the first time I came to IIT Madras, and I was absolutely blown away by this campus. I haven't seen anything like this in my life before. A huge campus where students can be absolutely fearless of the faculty. They can move along them with like friends. And girls and boys can go on road like friends, just like friends, without any fear. That the whole atmosphere was very electrifying, and for me it was like some kind of heaven that I was looking in front of me, and at the same time it was hell, because I knew I couldn't get in here. So I just kept daydreaming about what I would do in if I get to study in IIT, what I would. I was just daydreaming, because in my daydreams I didn't know what people do here. Later on, after so many years, my nephew was studying in IIT here, and I came to meet him with the same campus. The feeling was still the same, I felt this was a great place of knowledge where you can. Of course, now I am not looking at boys and girls or any of that thing, but I was looking at this is how a place of studying should be. You can study if you want to, you can pursue your arts and crafts if you want to, if you can quench your thirst of knowledge if you want to. You can be so many things if you come to a place like this. So my respect towards this campus grew multifold. And guys, friends, I think you are, of course, I know you studied very hard, worked very hard to come to this place, but at the same time, I think you are also very, very lucky to be in this. You are the cream of this country. You are very lucky to be in this place. I hope, I wish that you make most of it and you be the future leaders of science and technology of this country. Thank you very much. When Srinath first contacted me and he asked me to give a lecture in IIT, I was thinking what I would talk to you guys. I think you are much more far ahead of me in terms of knowledge of science and technology. I didn't know what to talk, and I asked him what I should talk, and he said I have to give a lecture for 1 hour. I said, boss, I'm a very bad orator, but what I can do is do some sessions of question and answer. So I'm ready to take your questions, whatever they are. Feel free. You can ask whatever you want, except that one question. Except that one question. So we can go ahead with our session.
Thank you, sir, for this insights. Now we have collected a few questions from all of you guys, and we'll be putting it forth for Mr. Rajamouli to answer it. So you may take a seat here. So, first of all, I would like to start with your personal life. And few of us want to know, as a child, what was your relationship with films? Many of us here know that you had a good family background in films. So as a child, was it limited only to film viewing, or did you get very involved in the technical aspects of films?
No, I was, my films were into, my family was into filmy background, into films. They were making films, but I came to Chennai much later. My experience with films is that I used to watch a lot of films. Luckily, my mother, she always took me to films. She never said no to films. At that time, most of our mothers used to say no to films, but luckily my mother, she made me watch all the English films that came to Rajahmundry, a town near my place. And in my place, Kovur, the small town, I saw films of, I was a big fan of Senior NTR in my childhood. So I watched all the folklore films, Aggi Barata, Saggi Pidugu, Saggi, all the folklore films. I was a big fan, so that is my that is my experience with films. And speaking of my mother, I just want to tell one thing. In my childhood, she never even once asked me to sit and do my homework. She never once even asked me to read my class books. If I was sitting idle, she would only say two things. Why are you sitting idle? Why can't you read storybooks? Why are you sitting idle? Why don't you go out and play? These are the only two things she told me. She never asked me to do my homework or take out a maths notebook or do anything.
I wish every one of us had a mother like yours.
Yeah, Mamtal Tali, correct.
My question to you is, what was the motivation behind you pursuing engineering when you felt that your future always rested with? What was your motivation behind going to Eluru College for engineering when you felt that ultimately film was something that you were passionate about?
Boss, do I look like an engineering student? No. No. I discontinued my studies with intermediate. CRR College, only I did my junior intermediate and I finished my senior intermediate in Kovur, but I stopped my studies there. I didn't do graduation. I am not a graduate. I am a college dropout.
So you work mostly with your relatives for direction, production as well. So how is it like, how do you distinguish between your personal relationship and professional relationship with those people?
Most of the people I work with is, my father is a story writer. My cousin M.M. Keeravani is a music director. And they became the best of their class even before I became an assistant director. So they are very professional in their in their dealings with in their dealing with me. So whenever I work with them, of course, for most of the films I work with them. When it comes to work, I am the director and he's a story writer and he's a music director. There is, except for calling him Nanagar or calling him Peddanna, there is nothing between us like a son and a father and a brother and brother. It is absolutely professional.
So your father has been a scriptwriter for many years and he has worked with you on almost all your films. And how is it like working with him, and like what kind of relationship you have? Who gets to be the boss? I mean, when you are discussing.
I am the boss. I am the boss. How can there be any doubt in that?
Okay, now we have handpicked a few questions from the audience. So there is this Jayant Lal who wants to ask you, as a child, what was your biggest dream and who was your role model?
As a child, my biggest dream was to fly. Literally, the dreams in my sleep or the daydreaming I used to do the most of the time when I was awake, I always dreamt of flying in the air. Flying in the air gave me so much of, I don't know, freedom, I think. I always wanted to fly. Role models in childhood, I think for most of us, our childhood role models are the film heroes. So my childhood hero was, as I said before, was Senior NTR and Bruce Lee. I was a big admirer of Bruce Lee in my childhood. Even now.
Thank you, sir. The next question is about your struggle to reach the pinnacle of success. People here see you as a director who has given all hit films to his credit. But we would like to get an insight into what goes inside the direction of a film. What are the challenges you face on a daily basis, and how did you climb your way to the top of the peak?
Yeah, answering this question is a struggle. Let me see. Okay, I would, frankly speaking, I never saw my journey into films as a struggle, because I enjoyed each and every bit of it. I know many assistant directors in the industry who waited for years and years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years to get a break as a director. I was an assistant. I was in the direction department for about 9-10 years before I got my break as a director, but I never saw that period as a struggling period. There were days when I had work. There were days when I didn't have work, but I was never depressed. I was never under the impression that my life would stop as an assistant director. I always believed that I would become a director, and when I worked with my directors, I tried to be as sincere as possible, be as upfront as possible, give my very honest opinions, and work hard. That is the only reasons I think that I got my break as a director.
Thank you, sir. How seriously do you take critics' opinion on your movies?
What do you think is a critic?
Someone who tells the minus points of a film in addition to its.
Very sadly, we have very few good critics. A good critic is one who understands the grammar of the filmmaking, and who can dissect the film and show you what is wrong and what is right scientifically. A good critic is not the one who thinks the film is good or the film is bad. That is not a good way of criticism. In Telugu, we had a fantastic critic called Gudipudi Srihari Garu. Sadly, he's no longer he's no longer on his job. He's the only critic whom I saw had very good knowledge about breaking down the film, showing what is working, what is not working, why it is not working. And rest of the critics I see now are half-baked critics. Of course, there are many of us who make half-baked films. I am not disagreeing on that point. So I don't give much of value for the so-called critics' opinions. And second thing is, the audience are always right because they are paying their hard-earned money to buy a ticket, and they are coming to it. And when they come to a film, they want to enjoy the film. They come with an attitude of wanting to like the film. So how they look at the film in a complete different way from the way a critic does, because the critic wants to see what are the rights and what are the faults. That's a complete different way of the critic watches the film and the way the audience watches the film. So for me, the audience impression is most important because I make film for them.
Now for some audience question, Naveen ji wants to ask you, what is one mistake that directors can make regardless of their experience?
Okay, where is this Naveen ji? Can I see him? Okay, that's a good question. Where directors can go wrong is get carried away. We can easily get carried away by the praise that we get. Let me come to this question in a complete different way. Film industry is a very, very young one compared to all other industries. It's hardly 100 years old. No, the art of film is hardly 100 years old. And there is no proper grammar written on how a film should be made. Of course, there are some thumb rules, but you can break every rule and still make a good film. So filmmaking is a very, it's not rock solid. So we go with a feeling and make the film. So when we make films like that, a producer who puts in money we actually don't know which film works, which film doesn't. That you have to be very clear in your mind. Don't think we know that this film is going to work. We never know. We just go with the feeling that the film works. So the producer also doesn't know whether the film works or not. So how does a producer select a director or a technician or an actor? Mostly is based on their past success, or if he's going for a new technician or something, he goes with a technician who is very confident or appears to be confident. So look at this, the producer is spending crores and crores of money on a story which he doesn't know whether will work or not, and trusting a director based on his confidence. So it is a very dicey thing, making film business. So and the director, he himself doesn't know whether his film will work or not. So constantly he needs a boost of confidence for himself to take it. So we tend to come into a situation where the people surrounding us start praising us for the work that we have done. And the praises tends to go much more than we actually achieved. And we like to believe that. We like to believe that, and it's like a drug dose. Every day I want more praise for me to keep my confidence up. Not to satisfy my ego, just to keep my confidence up. So that keeps increasing. So everyone around me will be praising me for what I have done, and I like to believe that. And when it goes overboard is where most of the times that we tend to go wrong. Try to be as close to reality as possible, and be on the ground as possible. Then you'll make lesser mistakes. That's what I have learned in my experience.
Thank you, sir. Bhavana K wants to know what is the process that goes through your mind while converting a script into the screen. So she wants to know the background process that goes through in your mind while doing that.
Who's that?
Bhavana. Bhavana K.
Bhavana. Okay, can I see Bhavana? Okay. So what? Why or how? What is the question?
What is the process, to be precise?
Okay. Okay, let's say, Bhavana, I say a waterfall. What comes to your mind? Sorry. Sorry, I'm not talking about Bahubali, before Bahubali. Okay, you have some imagination. I'll say a very big waterfall, you will have some imagination. The imagination can be the water coming from the clouds and dropping down onto the ground. It is just a matter of a microsecond that the thought comes to your mind, right? And your mind, you can envision that. You can envision that. You can envision the amount of water that comes out. You can envision the color, the spray, the light of the day, the light reflecting on the water. You can imagine hundreds and hundreds of things beautifully in a microsecond. And you want to get that onto the film. How do you do that? It takes hundreds of hours or hundreds of days, first of all, to get your vision onto a paper and to get the same kind of vision that you have in your mind across to all the technicians you have around you. You need a visual effects supervisor to understand it. You need your art director to understand it. You want your cinematographer to understand it. And depending on what you're doing at the waterfall, you want your artist to understand it. So imagining this waterfall and what you're doing with it is the creative part. And getting that onto the screen is the physical part. So just before this one of your faculty was asking me the same question. So whatever happens in all the creative part, or whatever happens in envisioning that is your creative part, and whatever you do to bring it onto the screen is physical labor. I'll call it physical labor. Shooting there is nothing creative, very little creative thing that happens on the shooting itself. All the creative things happen before the shooting, and getting whatever you have in your mind onto the screen is what happens on the shooting part and the post-production part. What happens in between is just getting the vision of the director, whatever you have in your mind, into the minds of all the technicians that work along with you. That is what happens in the process between pre-production and production. Did I answer your question? Okay, thank you.
Next question is about commercialization of films. Directors these days, there is this common critic that they have developed a fixed recipe for developing commercially successful films. You, on the other hand, seem not to be bothered much about the results, and you wish to experiment with a lot of new innovations and greater than life fantasy characters. So what is your success mantra? I mean, you have never developed even directed a flop film. All your films have been hits. So
no, there is not just in films, In our life, there is no secret for success. There is no shortcut for success, or there is no formula for success. And again, going on to the broader meaning, what is success? What is actually success? Yes, getting money is one form of success. Don't think I'm undermining money. I like money very much. I want. But the paradox is, if you chase money, it will evade you. If you chase your happiness, money will follow it. That's the biggest. And it is not that, see, learning something new is exciting for a human being, right? When you want to learn something new, that gives you excitement. So when I try to learn about the new technologies, new developments in filmmaking, that is just my interest. I like to learn new things. That has got nothing to do with the filmmaking. As a film, I would like to make a story which I like to tell. So I'll come across some kind of story told to me by my father, or something I read in the mythologies or in the novels that I've written, or some newspaper article that I've read somewhere. Something excites me, and if I keep telling that incident to people, if that excitement is growing in me, then I want to translate that excitement into film. So that's what makes me to make films. I want an incident, a plot point which is strong enough to drive me to make a film. Technologies and all that are separate things, which I am interested in, just like you, or just like any one of you. Just want to learn new things.
So now let's move on to specific questions about Bahubali. Bahubali has been rated as a visual treat. In fact, many people have compared the visual effects created in Bahubali to Hollywood movies like Life of Pi and Avatar. So how do you rate your film against these movies?
Yeah, that's what I was telling you before. The people around us try to, or they praise us. Keep your feet planted on the ground. Okay, enjoy the class, but don't get influenced by them. It is a general way of expression. When we like to praise something, we say, yeah, the film is very good. The visual effects are so nice. I think they are like the Hollywood level of Avatar or something. It is just a person who is saying that is just saying to express his happiness, but don't take it in the literal meaning. If Avatar is somewhere there, Bahubali is somewhere here. Don't even compare. But I am very, very proud of Bahubali because Avatar, the amount of money they spent on the visual effects Avatar must be some $100 million, and what we spent on Bahubali is hardly 22 crores. So what we achieved with this 22 crores, I personally feel is much more compared to what they achieved with that $100 million for Avatar. So I'm very proud of it.
Which brings me to my follow-up question. How were you able to create all those visual effects with such a shoestring budget?
Experience is one thing. My first big visual effects sequence in my films is the most forgettable one. The shark sequence in Chhatrapati is the first one, which was very, very bad. So from then onwards, I put my mind into it, and I started thinking why it went wrong, and I wrote down pages and pages of notes on that sequence, why it went wrong, and why shouldn't I repeat those mistakes. And in the subsequent films, I started adding more and more visual effects sequence, and starting getting successes with Yamadanga, Magadira, Nani, Ega. So I started developing. So all these failures and successes, small successes, gave me enough experience to do things right in Bahubali.
Thank you, sir. The first half of Bahubali was shot under very challenging conditions. So, can you talk a bit about your experience directing that, recreating those challenging conditions?
Conditions, not the weather conditions, because I shot in much more harsher conditions for films like Magadira and Maryada Ramanna, much more. For Maryada Ramanna, the climax was shot at 50 degrees centigrade temperature. So, without even a hint of green anywhere in sight. In rocks which were radiating the heat, we shot the climax. So, weather conditions, we were used to much more harsher conditions. But in Bahubali, the biggest challenge was to manage the human resources that we had. I was talking many times about the war sequence. At one point of time, we were dealing with 2,000 extras, 2,000 junior artists. Most of them were bodybuilders. And to get these bodybuilders, 2,000 bodybuilders, from the city to Ramoji Film City, which is 70 kilometers away, make them stand in the line and put on their costumes, give them their weapons, put on their wigs, paint their faces, and get them to the breakfast place, make them eat their breakfast and make them come and stand in the line for the shoot. I'm not even talking about the shoot. Just this exercise itself is huge. Anyone in the unit had experience of dealing with this kind of human resource management before. So that itself was huge. Now imagine shooting with this kind of people for 120 days. 120 days fighting. And imagine the green screens were put for hundreds and hundreds of feet. There were green screens put in an open area. And they had iron frames behind them, huge iron frames. Each screen would be as tall as the ceiling and as wide as this one, with huge iron structures at the back. And the wind was so strong that it used to lift the whole green screen into the air. And we used to have just 100 to 150 people just tying ropes around these iron frames and holding them down. Their only job was to hold those green screens down. So these kind of challenges were, and what was heartening was these people, the people who were doing this job, they would hold it the whole day, and the next day they used to come up with simple innovative technologies like putting a peg into the ground and taking a rope through the peg and taking the rope to the shade of the tree, sit there and hold the rope. No, so they used to come up with their own ways of dealing this stuff. So for me, the biggest challenge is the managing all these people. The biggest thing was at one point of time we almost had 5,000 artists, technicians, senior artists, their assistants, fighters, rope pullers, and the kind of guys I was telling you holding down these green screens. We had about 5,000 people on the set. Managing them was the biggest challenge that we had.
Thank you, sir. Now, a specific question regarding the character portrayal of Prabhas in the film. In the first half, Prabhas is shown as a carefree man who is free of any responsibilities. But in the second half, he finds himself suddenly with tremendous responsibility on his shoulders. He has to save the kingdom. So, was it a conscious portrayal to show him as a person whose responsibilities evolve with time, or it just panned out that way?
Actually, there are two different characters. One is Shivudu and one is Bahubali. Yes, it was a conscious effort to give a complete difference in the portrayal of the characters. For me, Bahubali is the ultimate man of dharma. He never makes any mistakes. He's always right, and in a way, he is like Lord Rama. That is what I wanted with Bahubali. And for Shivudu, he has the physical strength, but he wasn't brought up with a proper training. He was not brought up by Shivagami and he was not brought up like Shivudu, but he has his blood in him. So the entire journey of Bahubali, from the first part to the end of the second part, would be how Shivudu becomes Bahubali, how he becomes his father, how he becomes the epitome of dharma. That would be the story.
So you just told the audience that you grew up watching a lot of Hollywood films. So my next question to you will be that has any of the Hollywood films inspired any incidents in your movies? Can you recall anything that comes to the top of your mind?
He's being very respectful. The actual question would be, do you copy from Hollywood films? That was the actual question. Yes, I do. That's obvious. Most of you know that. Most of you know that. What I don't do is that I don't copy from my contemporary films. I don't copy from the films that are being made alongside with me. But look at it this way. When I was an assistant director, in my field, my colleagues, my fellow assistant directors didn't even speak English. They didn't even know. So an assistant director who watches English films look like, oh, this guy has a big knowledge of English films. This guy can speak English, and this guy watches English films. That itself was looked highly upon. And if I, in the story sitting narrations, if I narrate a scene from a Hollywood movie, then I was looked upon like, yes, this guy has a lot of creativity. So I was brought in such conditions. I was brought up in such conditions, and so morally it was not wrong for us to take from English films, because I was brought up in such conditions. And second thing is, you have watched Braveheart, the film? Yeah, Mel Gibson is my favorite director. I worshipped him. I watched the film so many times. And each and every shot of the film I know by heart. I know, and it was so much into me that somehow when I started making films, taking shots or sequences from those films didn't feel morally wrong. I never felt guilty about taking scenes from the films that I worshipped so much. They were part of me. They were part of my DNA. They were part of my flesh and blood. I felt like that. I never felt guilt. Looking at it, it looks morally wrong, taking from some English film and putting in your film. It looks, how can this guy do it? Can't this guy think on his own? Can't he create something on his own? Actually, when I look back at it, I am very confused myself. Right? Copying from something and putting it in a film is wrong. You're not supposed to do it. But truthfully, when I look at it, I don't feel guilty, because I feel, like I said, they're part of me. Then I started questioning myself. Why is this? Why I'm not feeling guilty? Then I understood, as I was reading into different books, art itself is a copy. Art is not created on its own. art continuously develops on your predecessors, by the artists that are behind you. It is developed on their work. For centuries together, it happened that way. When I feel guilty, there are sometimes when I feel guilty is that if I take a sequence from an English film and portray it very badly in my film, I feel very bad. I shouldn't have done that. But if I develop on it, if I make betterment from the original, then I feel nice about it.
That was a great reply. So we have bored you with a lot of technical questions. Now time for some rapid fire questions. So we are going to ask you a few questions and you have to tell the first thing that comes to your mind. So I'll start.
The first thing that comes to my mind is the door is that way.
So I'll start with rapid fire round. Tollywood or Indian film? Tollywood or Indian film?
First of all, I hate the word. Did you say Tollywood?
Yeah.
Tollywood?
Yeah.
I heard the word called Tollywood. So you say Telugu film industry, you say Hindi film industry, you say Hindi film industry. So don't say Tollywood. Okay. Question?
Bahubali or Magdira?
Pardon?
Bahubali or Magdira?
Bahubali.
Tarak or Prabhas? Tarak or Prabhas?
That's quite difficult, but I would say Prabhas at the moment because I'm in the middle of Bahubali.
100 crore
But
movie.
as a friend, it is Tarak.
100 crore movie or national award? 100 crore movie or national award?
I'm not able to.
100 crore movie or national award?
100 crore, both of them doesn't excite me.
Trivikram or Sukumar?
Sukumar.
So I'll ask you about your choices about movies, heroes, heroines. That's small questions. So I'll start with, which is your favorite movie and why you like it?
Bahubali, you're talking about my films?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
Maryad Raman is my favorite.
I say in general also. From
Maya Bazar, like I was saying, and Braveheart.
your favorite hero and why you like him?
Bruce Lee, like I was saying before, Bruce Lee because he had such intensity in him that I have never seen before. Telugu it is Tarak. I like Tarak more.
Your favorite heroine and why? Favorite heroine and why?
My favorite heroine is Anushka because I haven't seen that kind of commitment from any actor or actress. She's the ultimate in commitment and dedication. She's the best.
Sir, what are your hobbies? Apart from your profession, what are your hobbies? What you like to do?
I like reading. I like traveling. I like playing games. I mean, not this kind of games. I'm literally talking about volleyball or cricket. That's what I.
Sir, you follow mythology. So who is your favorite character in Ramayana and Mahabharata?
Karna. Karna is my favorite.
What is the most interesting place in the world according to you? As you shoot, you go around. So, which is the...
My home is my favorite place.
So now we have questions about your future work. So we have a question from Sai Sujan. Do you plan on doing science fiction movies in future?
Science fiction at present in my list of films, list of stories that I want to make, science fiction is not there. I want to work more on mythology movies. I want to work more on historical movies like Sri Krishna Devaraya, Rana Pratap, Shivaji. I want to work on historical kings and that. At present, I don't have anything in my mind regarding science fiction.
So can you shed more light on what big projects you have in mind after Bahubali? Some sites.
Yeah, Garuda is there in my mind, but I will. Sorry, at present I cannot reveal any more details about it, but Garuda is there on my mind.
Do you plan to do any movie with superstar Rajnikant in the future?
You ask this question to any director in the South Indian film industry, and their answer would be the same.
What kind of role you will give him, as in what kind of movie you want to make with him?
I don't know what kind of role I would make with him, but if I make a film with him, at least for 10 days, no one should hear what is the dialogue in the theater. The people should be shouting from beginning to end.
Do you plan to enter into some stage in Hollywood, as in?
Recently, I have been to US, and I have observed the kind of work culture they have. I respect that, but it is entirely different from the way that I grew up learning and making films. It is entirely different. So I don't think I can fit into that kind of making films. So I think I'll be making Indian films only.
Thank you, sir. We have a question from Venu Gopal. When can we expect your dream project, Great Epic Mahabharata? And how many sequels, or what are your plans in making of this great dream project?
I think I'll need at least 10 years of experience to start making Mahabharata, and it will be a minimum of 4 parts to make the entire.
So you already told about Garuda, which is a big budget movie which is coming with Mohanlal. So
Mohanlal, did I say I was making with Mohanlal?
So there are rumors about it. So is it true?
There will be. Mohanlal is one of the fantastic actors of India. I would love to work with him, but I haven't even developed the script of Garuda, so I don't know about the casting at this moment.
So we'll have concluding questions now. So in spite of all the successes you have achieved, you are incredibly humble. As in, I was with you before and I found you very humble. So I doubt that any other eminent film personality would have taken the efforts to come down all the way from Hyderabad to spend the evening with us. So what keeps you so grounded? What keeps you driving to interact with students, have that much energy always?
I'll tell you a secret. I'm a very good actor. So don't believe my humbleness. I'm a very big egotist at the heart. So don't believe all that. What makes me interact with the students is actually most of the time I look forward to this question and answers. So I would be eagerly looking forward for a question that will challenge me, not on stage, but when I go back, I would ponder on the questions that were asked by the students. When the questions come from the youngsters, most of the time they try to pick up a subject that I haven't thought of before. So why I come and address people is for my own betterment of thinking. It's not to give you anything, it is for myself.
So what would be your advice to a young engineer here who wishes to pursue directing as a career option?
Okay. Who is that? Who asked the question?
It's a general question by many.
Okay, I'll pick up someone. Okay, come here. Give him a mic. Okay, now I will be asking him questions. Listen. Why do you want to become a director?
Seeing you, I want to be like you, sir. So I admire you. So I want to pursue a career like you. So,
First one, you need to know how to express your properly. So first thing is you always have to hold your mic close.
okay, sir.
Second thing, in the history of filmmakers that you know, do you know any director who wanted to be like another director and made it big?
Sir, wouldn't you want to be like Raghavendra Rao? Sir, wouldn't you want to be like Raghavendra Rao or something like that?
No,
Never.
no, I never wanted to be Raghavendra Garu.
Okay, sir.
No, I admire him.
Yeah.
I admire a lot of directors, but I didn't want to be Raghavendra. So, if you want to become a director, what's your name?
Gabriel, sir.
Gabriel. So you become Gabriel the director. Don't be another Rajmouli. Why do you want to be another Rajmouli?
Okay, sir.
Don't be second director. Okay, so that is not a right motive to be a director. So push that aside. What is your second motive to be a director?
Sir, in
Mic close to your mouth.
Sir, during my free time or so, I write stories. Sometime or so, I feel like to put them on the screen also. So, will that be a motive for me to be a director?
Pardon?
Will that be a motive for me? Can that be a motive for me to be a director? I mean, that is a motive for me to be a director.
So you wrote stories and you want them to put on screen.
Yeah.
Okay. For this question and for many others who wanted to do that, to become a director, first you have to be a storyteller. You have to be a storyteller and you should enjoy the process of storytelling. Now be very clear on this part. When you tell a story, there will be some friends across you and they might say your story is nice because you are just his friend and they might really like it. So one part you should really enjoy telling the story and second part you should know whether the friends across you are really liking the story or just listening because you're a friend. Okay, so that is the first litmus test for yourself to pursue your career as a director. Be truthful to yourself. You can tell how many ever lies you want to the people around you, but don't lie to yourself. Okay? That's the first one. After you pass the first litmus test, then we can think about the others.
So some more questions. How do you think it would be if you and legendary A.R. Rahman sir are going to work mutually? If it's happening, what do you think about it, as in how it's going to be?
I don't know. We might make some of the best works that has come out of India or we might end up fighting. Because see, creators somehow tend to work on a certain style or certain timing. For whatever I have heard, Rahman sir starts working after it gets dark. And I start sleeping the moment it gets dark. My brain starts sleeping the moment it gets dark. I get up at 4:30 in the morning and my best time of working is from 4:30 to 7, 8 o'clock. That is my most creative time. And that is the time he sleeps actually. So, so I don't know how it will be working with him.
Thank you, sir. Last question of the day. If you had to make a movie on the epic Mahabharata, who will you cast as Lord Krishna and Karna?
Let's talk about it practically. Okay, let's talk about it practically. I made Bahubali now. I'm making it in 2 parts. And Prabhas had to give his dates for almost 3 years, right, for this film. He shared my dream and we had so much in common. We are so close friends that he knew that he had to give this many dates and he kept himself free. And it was possible. Now I am talking about Mahabharata, 4 parts, which is a minimum of 6 years, which has characters like Krishna, Duryodhana, Bhima, Arjuna, Bhishma, n number of characters, 25, 30 characters. Now can you imagine any star who would give 6 years of his time to make this Mahabharata. Let's talk practically.
So with you, it's possible. Every actor can give you the dates. With
Pardon?
you, it's possible. Every actor can give you the dates for a great dream project.
Sorry, come again. Come again.
With you, it's possible. As in, every actor can
No,
give you
it's,
the dates.
it's not about me or it's not about anything. It's about the actual practicality. It is about dedicating 6 years of their career to a film. So practically, see, emotionally you might get connected. You might be a very close friend with the director or the production team and everything. You might be excited about it. But practically, giving 6 years of your career to a film for an established star would be very, very difficult. It will be almost impossible. So practically, if we make Mahabharata, I think you have to create stars for that film. You cannot do with the existing stars. Case in example, most of you must have seen Game of Thrones, right? Except for 1 or 2 stars, like not even stars, like Sean Penn or anyone. Did you know any of the characters? Did you know any of the actors at the beginning of the series? But by the end of 2nd season or 3rd season, you wouldn't want to see anyone except those actors in those characters, right? So that is making stars for that particular project.
Thank you, sir. It was great talking to you. We all are privileged to have you here. Now, we'll follow up with the...
Yeah, and thank you very much, friends. It was an honor and privilege for me to be here in front of you. And I'm very excited answering your questions, and I would look forward for another session like this. వచ్చిన తెలుగు వాళ్ళందరికీ ఎంత ఆనందాన్ని నాకు కలిగించినందుకు నేను చెప్పిన మాటలో మీకు ఏదన్నా కొంచెం మంచి జరిగితే నేను చాలా చాలా ఆనందిస్తాను. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్.
I now request Professor M.S. Shivakumar to felicitate the speaker with a memento. We would also like to present a portrait of S.S. Rajamouli made by the students of IIT Madras. I also request Mr. Rajamouli to write something about TML in the yearbook. Thank you, sir.
Thank you both. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed my time here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.